you told me before we went live, you told me that inclusivity was really important to you from a young age, and that you actually got started writing about inclusivity in children's books.
Mhm.
And I would love for you to talk about kind of your, like the children's book and inclusivity, but also how did this translate into your movement that you're starting and also your skincare line? Because
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes. The big moment was when I gave birth to my first and only child, who came down with a very, very serious genetic disorder, and has really rendered him in a state where he needs to rely on others for total care. And so, seeing what life was like with him, when he was earlier on, he had more abilities, and he's kind of gradually lost them over time. But when he was young, we'd go to the playground, and he had a tracheostomy, and he had an NG tube, which is a feeding tube that would go through his nose, and it's taped to his face. And kids would just either run away, or they'd whisper like little children to their parents, and the parents were like, it's not nice to stare, just look, just don't say anything. And so, seeing what that did to my son, and he would all of a sudden start like doing this because he didn't want people to see him, and he
Mhm.
felt like almost a little bit embarrassed or afraid or scared,
Mhm.
or feeling like he was being victimized. And here's a 3 or 4 year old boy doing
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
And as his parent, you can imagine what that makes a parent feel like as well.
Right.
Like, you
Mhm.
always want your children to be accepted. And so, the nice thing about what his journey is that he has brought so much understanding and so much compassion and so many good-hearted people into our lives that have really shown us the way forward.
Mhm.
And so, as a culmination of our experience with my child, we decided to write these children's books called The Adventures of SuperCaptainBraveMan. I know that this is not what this podcast is about, but
Oh, I love
um,
it.
but but essentially, these were children's books that would help teach other young kids at an early age, what other kids with disabilities, what life is like,
Mhm.
and do it in a nice, friendly way, and then give tips of how you can be friends with these children. What are the symptoms or the signs? And so we started to pen a series. The second book was on autism, signs and symptoms of autism, and how to be friends with somebody with autism. Our most recent book was on a child with Down syndrome. And so, things like that we thought were just really important, because if you teach kids young, they're so receptive. They ask so many
Mhm.
questions, and then it becomes normal. It's like the new normal.
Yeah.
It doesn't become a stigma. It doesn't become this, strange, awkward moment at the park or in the mall, as I've heard from other special needs parents that, when they're out with their children, it's hard. It's very hard. And so, whatever we can do to really help normalize and create just this abundant quilt of abilities, and of understanding and of compassion for
Mhm.
others, it's intended to make the world a better place.